I'd like to call to order the Smyrna Planning Commission for February 2019. At this time, we'd ask everyone to stand for our prayer and pledge.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day that you've given us. We ask that you watch over us tonight as we deliberate the town's business. We ask that you give us guidance. We ask that you watch over our firefighters and our policemen and those that serve our country overseas. Give them health and return them home to their families safely if at all possible. Bless us tonight. Watch over us with the impending weather. Help our citizens to be safe. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving on, item number 3, citizens' comments. Thank you. Item number 4 is approval of the minutes. Do we have any corrections or additions to the minutes as they were handed out?
Move to approve the minutes.
Have a motion, to have a second? And a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 5, old business. The item under annexation has been deferred, correct?
They've requested to be deferred. I think we probably do need to go ahead and take a vote on it to defer it to next month, since we did defer it from your last agenda. But it is my understanding they will be on the agenda for consideration next month.
So we are deferring it at the applicant's request.
Yes.
Do I have a motion?
I'll move to defer.
Have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. At this time, under new business, we have a request to move to item 7, and we'll go ahead and grant that. They asked that item 7, the zoning ordinance amendment, if we could go ahead and discuss that now. We have a couple of members from the airport board that I think have other obligations tonight.
Yeah, this is a text amendment to the zoning ordinance that has been requested by the airport authority. They did formally vote on this and did adopt a resolution requesting it at their January 9th, 2019 meeting. This will be a text amendment to the A1, the airport district. It would change the front minimum setback to 50 feet from 100 feet, and it would change the side and rear setbacks to 25 feet from 50 feet. They have also requested that it be specifically stated that the front setback is measured from the edge of the public right-of-way. That's kind of a standard thing in all zones, but they did ask that it be reiterated here so that there's no confusion in the future with regards to, taxiways or runways. So it's a relatively simple amendment. Again, just changing the text in the area for the setback requirements. Again, from 100 to 50 on the front and from 50 to 25 on the side and rear. All the property that is in this zone is owned by the airport authority, so it's not, would not only affect their property.
This is a request that came from the airport board.
Yes.
One question on the street size. Do we have 50 feet of right-of-way always through there? Because those streets are just a little different.
Well, the setback would be measured from the right-of-way.
Yes, but how much right-of-way do we have?
Well, like 3 is a wide. I think it's 60.
Okay.
But I think the
So
other internal streets.
They're standard city streets, even though they're on the base, and
Yeah.
it's done by an easement rather than a dedication.
It's done by a public easement. Now, Aviation Parkway is actually wider as well.
Okay.
The new street that just got built. But most of them are standard 50-foot easements,
Okay.
yes.
Or a standard city street, whatever was necessary.
Right.
All right. Do y'all have any questions on this? I know John is here if we do, and be glad to answer. If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the zoning ordinance amendment with staff comments.
And do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Motion carried. Thank y'all. Appreciate what you do. Okay, now back up to our regular agenda under number 6, new business, rezoning request, Cedar Creek Townhomes. Staff comments.
Yeah, this is a rezoning request, rezoning from R1 to a PUD. It's about 12.61 acres. It's on Rocky Fork Road. Also has frontage on Percival Street to the rear of the property. The proposal is for PUD to allow for 87 townhomes and then 2 commercial lots that would have a C4 usage allowed and be developed like C4 lots. Surrounding zoning is a mix of R1 and R3. The land use plan would support a mix of office, retail, multifamily in this area as well. This is a project that you all have seen before a few times. It was recommended by Planning Commission prior to, but it was turned down by council the last time it was submitted, and so they have resubmitted. They have your recommendation held many conditions regarding screening along Percival Street and some other things and parking and other issues, and they have addressed all those with this resubmitted request. So it is essentially it is very similar to what you requested, other than they've addressed those comments that were made before. So
So essentially what we approved, there's no additions or
Right.
changes from the original?
The elevations, we're concerned about vinyl siding. That's been addressed. It's going to be hardy now, or brick or stone. The parking issues have all been addressed with the double wide driveways on every unit, with some additional visitor parking, scattered throughout the development. Again, the screening, basically the buffer and all along the Percival Street side. I think that's everything we talked about.
To kind of bring I happened to be at the meeting that night, so I heard the discussions at the council meeting. Can you bring the other commissioners up to date as some of the thinking from the council, or maybe 1 or 2 of the council members that are part of this committee would like to address that?
Yeah, I can kick it off.
All right, please do.
From a elevations perspective, from a layout perspective, from everything that I've seen about this PUD, from the building perspective, I was not opposed to it in that perspective. What my concern was at the time, and I think council's concern was at the time, was how are we going to develop out this roadway, because this is a proposed future gateway. Since that meeting, Kevin brought together a plan. I'm not sure if overlay is the correct word. What am I looking for?
Well, we're looking at doing an overlay.
Correct.
Right.
And Kevin heard and addressed what we wanted to do within that overlay. And as a matter of fact, what's the subdivision? Was it Sundale?
Sundale.
That came back, and knowing what we're going to be looking at in the way of materials and the way the roadway is going to be developed out as part of a gateway, and in looking back to land use plan and how we develop from higher density to lower density, at this point in time and after reviewing it and taking in consideration what we're going to do with an overlay, I'm not opposed to it at this point. And I think that was the council's main concern. We didn't know how this was going to fit in and how this was going to develop out, but that's been made clear to us with the preliminary overlay or proposed overlay that we're looking at.
It did come up in council, and I think council looked at that in sort of a negative light just because of some of the points that Tim just made. And I'll go back to being the one member that felt like I could support this at that time because of the fact that pretty much everything we asked them to do, we put them through the hoops. And they kept coming back, and they kept getting denied because I don't think they were getting the puzzle pieces put together the way we wanted to initially. But now they've done that. So I go back to where I was the first time this came up, knowing that we'd put them through the hoops, that I felt like I should support it as well for those purposes, so.
Okay, just wanted the commission to know, because we had seen it several times before we acted on it, and now it's back again. The process that it's been through. So, what's the feeling of the commission on this?
Well, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Any other discussion?
I have a question.
Yes.
My assumption is that the purpose of these townhomes is for individual consumers to purchase. Because I've seen where there are some subdivisions that have single residence homes in them that are being constructed now, and the sole purpose of them is to rent. And so basically it would be like an apartment complex, except all the units were single residence homes. And I just want to make everybody aware of that, because there might be something we want to consider in the future to make sure we're not think we're building a subdivision, but we're actually building a complex of rental units.
Who's here representing this group? Would you care to address that, please? Sir, please give your name and address also.
My name's David Alcorn. I live at 113 Lexham Court in Murfreesboro.
Thanks, David. Can you address that?
Yes, sir. These are all for sale, not for rent. Now, you know, with the HOA, with the amenity package that we've had to put on these homes, the values will be in the upper twos. So I don't, we wouldn't say none of them would ever be for rent, but it'd be like any other house in that price point.
And that's fine. These other ones I was talking about, they're starting out from ground up, new construction,
Right.
building them, they're rental right off the bat.
Right.
It's y'all's intentions for them to be for sale, is that what I hear?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions of the applicant? Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor of recommending the approval of this PUD to council, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Under new business rezoning, item number 2, Cedar Hills subdivision, Morton Lane, Rocky Fork Road, staff comments.
Yes, this is a request to amend the existing PRD out at Cedar Hills. It's about 122 acres, 343 lots. Surrounding zoning is a mix of R3, the Amberton PRD, and as well as RM in Rutherford County. And again, the land use plan would support a mix of office and retail multifamily here. The proposed amendment does not change the overall density or anything like that. It does decrease the number of lots that are 52 feet wide, and at the same time increasing the minimum lot width of the rest from 60 to 62 feet from 60 feet. The request would also decrease the side setbacks for those 62-foot wide lots. Right now, the 60-foot lots have a 7.5-foot setback on the side, and they're requesting to go to 62-foot wide lots with a 6-foot side setback.
I'm sorry, what?
It's a 62-foot wide. It's making the lot wider but decreasing the side setback, so giving them a bigger building envelope.
2, did you say 5?
6,
6, okay.
from 7.5 to 6. The other, the amenities, what's required on the homes, the road layout, all those are consistent with what was approved. We did have a few comments which are kind of consistent with what we had the last time when it was amended the last time, which is when all the lots were added. Inez Drive will need to be extended through this phase, which does appear that is possible, and I think they are planning on that with some, there's an adjoining tract of land that's, you all will probably be seeing soon, that would have that, extended through there as well. We did ask them to show the proposed utility extensions to serve the development, that's the internal utility extensions, as well as, and the entrance roadway, there will be, and I think it's on the next slide, the entrance roadway where it hits Rocky Fork Allenville Road, they do need to line that up with Briley Road, which is across the street there, just so that those two line up. Number 7 is a comment from CUD regarding fire flow that they'll still need to meet. So that was kind of, again, a carryover from the last time. But again, primarily what we're looking at here is just the changing the side setback on those some lots, then changing some of the mix as far as the lot widths. So, and that's all I got.
Kevin, I know Inez Drive, when it gets to Amable Road's not in the city limits.
Correct.
It's in the county.
Yes.
We're adding a lot of homes there. Has there been any discussion with the county about doing any road improvements or turning lanes or anything like that for Inez at Amable?
I'm not aware of any. I know that when Amberton was built, they did add a turn lane at Inez, a left-hand turn lane there. It did widen it a little bit there. Other than that, I'm not aware of anything. I know that the Amberton developer has, and the county have, I think they've required some repairs and things like that from them. But I'm not aware of anything at this time. I don't know if Tom, are you aware of anything? Yeah, I'm not aware of anything going on.
Do we have any plans for Morton Road?
We don't have anything right now, no. Other than the Blakeney development, there was discussion with them about realigning it so that it's at a 90-degree angle where it hits Rocky Fork. Other than that, though, there's nothing. We do not have plans to extend the widening that we've already done up to the schools.
This has kind of been the challenge all along with the way the annexation laws changed. And so now we don't really get to take in a broader property. We're forced to spot zone properties now, and so it gets into the county road, the city road, the annexation. It's really creating a little bit of a dilemma, quite honestly.
And we're getting ourselves in a big box on a lot of these
Yep.
smaller roads.
But those are county roads, a lot of them, and we don't have the jurisdiction over the county. So that, I think that's the problem with the whole annexation law personally, but that's time for now.
Amable is a state road also. too.
Yeah.
Amable State, yeah.
On the set, where we're decreasing the setbacks and widening, does everything we have here, is it in line with what we have requested on other PUDs where the side setbacks, well, normally they go to at least 5, and these are 6, but are we okay on that? Where we've
Well,
asked for-
this was approved with vinyl. I mean, this one was one of the, before we started doing that. So, on the first time, and so they are,
But that was with 7.5 setbacks too.
well, on the 60-foot wide lots, yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing we did was at least with 5-foot setbacks, we were requiring the HVAC systems to the rear.
Right. And this does not have anything one way or the other on the HVAC. They didn't address that either way. So that's certainly a condition you could look at. They are here if you want to talk to them, but about adding that. The front would have the brick, hardier stone, but the sides, they were approved with vinyl when it was originally approved, the first phase. And they do want to keep that. And they are building in the first phase, so they wanted to keep the consistency as far as the homes in the development. So it is not, to answer your question directly, it's not what we've done in the more recent PRDs, no. Because of the vinyl, we've required the hardier on the side, or brick or whatever on the sides when they've gone down to that 5-foot setback.
So what's the wishes of the commission on this? I think since this is a new PUD, that we certainly have the authority to consider that, which
Certainly, it's a request to amend. They have an approved PUD, but if to any changes, you all have the authority to approve them or not approve them, or recommend them anyway to the council, or not recommend them.
okay.
Record me as not voting, please.
Okay. Did you get that, Mindy?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, questions or comments? What's the wishes?
I think if we go down to 6 feet at a minimum, we ought to require the HVAC units to be in the back. It's getting tight. I'll defer to our HVAC expert down there, but even at 4 foot, that's kind of a small pad for an HVAC unit. And then leave but 2 feet.
And I know we're cutting hairs, but I think at 5, it's only 5, it's only 6, but at some point in time, I think there should be some consistency of what we apply. I think we at least try to do that.
Because if you've got 2 of them that are side by side and you got 2 of those units in there, they're on top of each other. So access between them will be none going, between the homes. It's going to be very little anyway at 6 foot. 7.5 would be tight. So.
All right. What other thoughts?
I get concerned when we get tight like this with the vinyl on the side. You get one structure on fire, it's gonna melt the other one on the other, and it doesn't take much heat to do it. I think that's why we've been kind of looking at that on our recent ones. I realize this was maybe done before.
Yeah, but the request specifically addresses the setback and is asking for less of a side setback.
I mean, the 52 wide lots have a 5-foot setback. I mean, that's what was approved.
It is approved already?
Yeah. Now, the other lots, the water lots had the 7.5, but that is what got approved. And it's been we're probably coming up on a couple of years now since the first one came in. First phase.
Okay, what's the wishes of the commission? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve adding a requirement to move the HVAC units to the back of the building or home, and approving the setbacks as requested, side setbacks.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
We can't address the other homes, right? This just affects the ones that are changing, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We just.
They've already been approved.
Right.
And are under construction, I would
Yeah.
assume some of
There
them
are homes under construction,
Yes.
yes.
Based on that fact, I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to, basically, the only thing we're adding is that on the,
The HVAC units in the rear of the building. Everything else is as they've requested.
yes. All clear? We have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to item number 3, under rezoning. And since it's pretty obvious that I have a conflict on this one, we're going to give it to Councilman Morrell to handle this item on the agenda.
And just so you know, I'm having a difficult time going back and forth between these, so thank you, Chairman, for letting me have this. Item number 3, Ed Davenport, rezoning R2 to C4, location 407 Hazelwood Drive, tax map 27P, Group C, parcel 8, zone R2, 4 acres. Kevin.
Yeah, this is a request, as you said, it's 407 Hazelwood Drive, currently zoned R2, request is to rezone it to C4. Request is it's about 4/10 of an acre of property. Surrounding zoning is a mix of R2 as well as C2 on the rear. There is a tract of land about 75 feet south of the site that is zoned C4. And there's also C2, there's 2 buildings north of it and then a piece of property zoned C2. The land use plan would support a downtown or mixed-use type development in this area. There is an existing residence on this property that they are planning to leave and refurbish and reuse as a commercial use, a C4 use. I guess that is all that I have.
Okay, questions from any discussion?
It's consistent with the property on the corner, correct?
Yes. There's 2 tracks there,
Both of them.
the former Tom's Florist location and the hair salon.
Any additional discussion from the commission? If not, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve with
Have
staff
a-
comments.
I have a motion to approve with staff comments. Do I have a second? Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carried.
You move on quicker than that.
Yes, I do. I haven't had dinner yet.
Moving on to item number 4, Gary Duncan, Duncan Imports and Classic Cars, rezoning from I-2 to a PUD. Staff comments.
Yeah, this is a request to rezone a piece of property. It's 100 G Street. It's at the corner of G Street, Sam Ridley Parkway East. It's about 4.11 acres, currently zoned I-2, and they're asking to rezone it to a PUD. Surrounding zoning is a mix of I-1, I-2, and C2. The land use plan would support a light industrial commercial development mix here in this area. The proposed PUD is for the existing I-2 uses to remain, with the added use of retail automobile sales inside the existing building. All the setbacks, signage, et cetera, would all follow the I-2 guidelines. This would just be basically, again, adding the use to have the indoor vehicle sales. The zoning ordinance does require 50 parking spaces for this use, but this regulation assumes inventory would be stored outside in the parking area. This is not the case for this location, so we are okay with that exception. They did request that exception be granted. We are okay with that exception for the parking space count in this location, since all the inventory is going to be inside. The only parking that's going to be outside is for the customers and employees. So we did receive the packet of information that's in front of you there, as well as the plan. It shows their proposed, what they want to do to the building, proposed signage, all those kind of things is all included in the packet. They are here if you have any questions.
I think it would be appropriate to ask him to come forward, because this is probably a business a little different than what we have here in town, and give you the opportunity just to tell us what you have going on and what your intentions are. Please introduce yourself, your name and address, please, sir.
My name is Mike Bass, and my address is 9505 Innaville Lane in Brentwood.
Thank you, sir. What do you have plans here?
We have planned an indoor classic car and import car sales operation. We currently have a similar operation in Virginia, that we operate in, that has been in existence for about 3 years. And we are looking to expand to Smyrna, Tennessee. The sales operations will all occur inside. All of our inventory will be inside. The only exterior portion that cars would be stored in would be covered by an opaque fence so that there would be no visibility from the roads. We will enhance the appearance of the entire area there. The building will be refurbished. Opaque fencing. We'll have, clean up the entire outside of that corner and make that corner a much nicer looking area. So our intent is to improve the area both cosmetically and of course attract business to the area as well. And again, all of our sales will be from the inside of the operation, inside of the building.
You know, based on your other operation is in
Christiansburg, Virginia.
In Virginia?
Correct.
Who are your clients? Who do you sell to? What?
Well, actually, we kind of have a unique business model. We attract people from all over the country. So we have a lot of visitors from all over the United States, and in fact, some customers from Canada and other countries as well. But we have a lot of our sales all over the U.S. We have a unique product. We import right-hand drive cars from Japan that are very unique, and there's only a couple of operations in the country that do that, and we are the largest. So we do attract people from all over the country. Some come to visit us, not all, but a bulk of those people do. And they come to our community that we're in and spend some time and spend some money and enjoy the city that they visit. So we have those, and we also have classic cars and collector cars, and those again do attract people from all over the country. So we will have local sales, but we also will have a substantial percentage of visitors that come in to buy our cars.
Okay. Do y'all have questions, Mr. Bass?
I spent a little time on their website, and it's a unique, this is not a car sale business like you would imagine.
No, it actually is.
So,
in fact, you could almost call it a museum more than a car sales location. But it really is. We have a lot of visitors that, and we're glad to have them, that have no interest in buying a car. They just want to see the uniqueness and the inventory that we have. So we have a lot of visitors that come to town that aren't even buying cars, and we're glad to have them.
And in fact, it's all enclosed.
Right.
Which is a great benefit, and I think it does add the ability to go over on that site and police that up, make it look a lot nicer than it already does.
Sure.
And so I think that's a win-win, in my opinion. So.
Other questions for Mr. Bass? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, excuse me.
I'm sorry.
Fencing you're talking about putting up, where on the property will it go?
Jerome, you want to address that?
Yeah.
Is it?
Do you gentlemen have a copy of
They do.
this? Here's highlighted, Jerome. He's got a highlighted version that makes it easier for us. So the highlighted portion of that diagram will have opaque fencing, and on the last couple of pages of the booklet that you have, there are two different options, two different versions of the opaque fencing that we are looking at. Both of these are made out of PVC, so they never warp or deteriorate or fade. Mm-hmm. One has a distinct stone look, and the other is a distinct wood look. So they'll look natural, either natural stone or natural wood, but they're actually a PVC product that will never warp, fade. They actually have a lifetime warranty from their manufacturer, so we're excited about that, because if we do have a problem, we do have a warranty on those. But that will encompass all of the back part of the building that's visible from Sam Ridley or G Street.
Essentially your delivery area where you're receiving your cars in and out, and not involving the public
That's
access
correct.
parking area.
Exactly. Our transport trucks will enter from the drive that is on the north side from G Street, so the north drive on G Street, and they'll pull around to the back of the building and unload, and then they'll exit from the exit right on Sam Ridley and be able to turn right and go straight to the interstate.
I know in the back of the packet too, you all have got, looks like roofing, reworking the roofing.
That is correct. We're going to refurbish the entire exterior of the building, both the walls and
What's going to be on the side, on as far as the walls?
it will be extruded metal.
Okay.
It's currently there, but it will be, of course, undented as currently is there.
Yeah,
And of course, painted nicely.
Sure.
Yeah, it seems like every corner of that building, or every square inch of that building has been run into. So we're going to really change the appearance of it and clean it up very nicely. And of course, interior, we're going to remodel that as well, but that won't be visible to the public, obviously. But we're going to refurbish the entire building, electrical, everything. It will be basically a concrete slab with the steel structure. Everything else will be new.
Do you know how many parking spaces are currently available? Because I know the asphalt in that area is terrible.
That's correct.
Will you all resurface it as well, or
We
have
are,
to?
that is correct.
Okay.
We're going to have 32
Okay.
parking spots, and that will be for visitors and employees. I believe currently there's 16, either 14 or 16. 12 there.
Okay.
So we're going to clean up the entire exterior. We're going to have landscaping and make it look the way that it should look.
Sure.
You would have room to add parking if you needed it, I think, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, they've got room.
Yeah.
On the front of the building, on
And
the
the
G
back.
Street side especially. They've got some more if they needed to.
How many staff do you plan on having?
We initially will have 5 to 7, and our vision is it'll eventually grow to around 12
Okay.
staff.
Y'all plan on doing any, actually, other than just general things on the cars? Any work on the cars?
Actually, our cars will be refurbished at our Virginia facility
And sent in?
just shipped here,
Okay.
ready to go.
Okay.
So we will have, we'll have a technician available to do anything that needs
Any
work on
minor?
after it gets here, but for the
Okay.
most part, everything will be done in Virginia.
Drive ready? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Other questions? We'll have a motion.
If you need a motion, I'll give you one. I'll move to approve with staff comments.
I'll give you a second.
We have a motion and a second to approve and recommend this to council. Is there any other discussion or questions of that? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimous. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Under new business rezoning, moving on to number 5, Avi Patra, Enon Springs Road, rezoning R2 to R4. Staff comments.
This is a rezoning request, 507 Indian Springs Road West, currently zoned R2. It's about half an acre of property. They do want to request it to be rezoned to R4. Surrounding zoning is R1 and R2. There is a tract of land approximately 125 feet east of this site that is zoned R4. Land use plan would support kind of a downtown mixed-use development here. There is an existing residence on this property. The proposal is to rezone it, divide it in half, similar to what the tract, that one tract that's 125 feet to the east there. Do a similar thing there and build on the south side facing Frank Street. Members of the Planning Commission may remember that when that was done, there is an issue with adequate water pressure on Frank Street, and so there was an easement provided from Enon Springs Road to that lot that faces Frank Street, so that the fire department could have access and bring water that way. Not have to, because there is not adequate, there's adequate for a domestic, but not for any type of fire service on the Frank Street side, so.
That was the Habitat home.
That is correct. Those are the two lots that were divided and two homes were built there. So this will be a similar situation. I've talked with them about that, and they would be providing that easement, when a plat is submitted for that. Of course, R4 could be a single family or a duplex. I can't remember if we included. Yeah, we didn't.
No quads, just single family or duplex?
Or duplex. Would be
What size lots are minimum in R4?
Single family is 6,000 square feet. For a duplex, it has to be at least 10.
And what's the size of this?
It's about half an acre, so it's about a
Right at
little over 20,000 square feet, yeah.
But are they planning on leaving what's there?
They are planning on leaving the home there.
What's left to build on,
Will be on the rear piece of the property.
size-wise? Because that house looks like it's not quite as,
We've looked at that. They have area to get 10,000 or so square feet.
okay.
They do.
And the existing structure would still meet the setbacks on,
Yes. Yes.
on its own lot?
Right, which is 35 front, 10 on the side and 20 on the rear is what is minimum, so.
Heard from any of the neighbors, Kevin?
I believe we did hear from one of the next door neighbors and was actually positive to it because she was thinking of doing the same thing, so.
The easement you're talking about for the fire, does it stop where the Habitat houses are now?
Well, yeah, because it actually crosses the track here.
It's running from the front lot
It
to
runs from the
back.
front to the back, so yes.
Probably along the side.
I think it's on the east side, and this one would actually be on the west side where the existing driveway is already for the home that's there.
What's the width of that easement?
20 or 25, I think,
We'd have room to do the same thing here.
yeah.
So if they had to tie onto water for a fire, would they tie onto it on Indian Springs? Is there a hydrant close down towards, Walnut?
I believe so, yeah, we did look at that. It would be a similar situation.
Okay.
I think it's a little bit west of the site, I
Yeah.
believe, but they would tie onto the hydrant and
Pull
would have
in.
to pull it in from there, yeah. It's ironic because the fire station is so close, but, and of course, the city is going through quite a bit of, or will be over the next few years of upgrading a lot of our system. And a lot of the area that's substandard now for fire flow is in this area, so eventually that may go away, but this is the situation right now.
Other questions? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve with staff comments.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. There was some hesitation. Any discussion? Wish to add?
Well, the only hesitation, I guess that I have is not a yes or no hesitation as much as I'm wondering if we're gonna, that Indian Springs Road is, as we know, we're expanding that over the hill. That's gonna be a pretty highly traveled road, so, already is. And I'm just thinking about the concept of what we're doing on that stretch of road right there. But, that said, most all the housing down through there is similar or not as brought up to condition as what this is being proposed. So that was my only hesitation.
Any other comments?
Question, Frank Street, will they be able to exit out of Frank Street to get back out instead of going out on Indian Springs?
For the home that's built there, yes, they will be actually using Frank Street. Indian Springs would only be used in case of a fire emergency.
Is it, what kind of shape is it in? Because I don't think anybody uses it now past where the Habitat house is it?
Well, there's homes on the
Front of it?
on the south side of it. There are homes there. They do utilize it. I mean, it's not very, it's
Very-
not, does
very
not meet
narrow.
our current standards, no.
Yeah, it's almost like a one-lane road.
Yeah.
Kevin, does that have a circular drive? I can't tell.
The existing home,
The one to the left of it I know does, but the one that's being proposed.
I don't believe it has a circular.
Okay, I only
drive,
see
no.
one. So if they were to go in behind there and build with an easement, would they access the same driveway, or would they have their own driveway?
That's what they're
Have their own
proposing.
driveway,
They would access that driveway for
Okay.
fire purposes.
Yeah,
The new
easement is
home,
not
the
necessarily-
new home that would be built would access Frank Street.
Okay.
That
So
would
there'd be
only
no way
using
for that home to
fire
go
emergency.
out on Enid Springs, to access Enid Springs, the new home?
Unless they provide an easement, they're not proposing that. No, they were proposing to utilize Frank Street
Okay.
for the
That answers my
for the
question.
folks that live there, yeah.
If they wanted to access Enid Springs and look at it that way, we'd be better off with some type of PUD, and common drive type thing.
Probably, yeah.
No, we're just adding another driveway to Enid Springs Road right
Yeah,
there.
but like I said, they're proposing to utilize the existing driveway for the fire emergency access and then utilize Frank Street for the people. That's what they'll be using 99.9% of the time. It's gonna
And
be
on the
using Frank
other
Street.
R4 there, that easement, it wasn't required to be paved or anything like that, it's just to be kept open.
It has to be kept open, and it was where they put the driveway, so it was concrete or asphalt, I believe.
Because it was the driveway for the house.
It was
that
a driveway
fronted-
for the house,
That
right,
fronted Enid Springs.
right.
Okay. But
it
it's
is
not a
open.
drive for the rear lot to use.
Correct.
Okay. Other questions? We have a motion? Second?
You have a motion and a second. Let's recommend approval.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried. Moving on, under rezoning request, item number 6, Gary Martin, Sam Ridley Parkway West. Staff comments.
Yeah, this is a rezoning request for about 22.26 acres to be rezoned from R6 to C2. This is a portion of a tract of land. It's not a much larger tract, but they have only requested the 22.26 acres to be rezoned at this time. Surrounding zoning is a mix of R6 and C2, and the land use plan would support an office, retail, multifamily mix in this area. This time, there's the development next door, and there's been a lot of discussion about access to Sam Ridley Parkway and traffic signals and all that. At this time, they're not proposing anything to you in that regard. This time it's just for a rezoning of the property to be rezoned from R6 to C2. I do anticipate you'll be seeing development plans soon, but they haven't submitted anything to us at this time. So we do have kind of a concept that would show that, because we have talked with them, and Jeannie Lane extension is obviously something that's on the thoroughfare plan to go over to Motlow, and they are showing that. They are showing the proposed potential access to Sam Ridley. Those all have to be approved by TDOT. And at this time, they don't have a fence cut there, so they would have to be something changed by TDOT to do that. I believe they have submitted that, but again, at this time, that's just for your purpose, just so you show that it will be tied on to what's already been approved, but on the property to the west. But anyway, that's all that I've got, though.
Okay, any questions? Rezoning R6 to C2. I know in the past, a rezoning of this nature has been pretty well received by council, and I assume this one would too.
This makes good sense to have the C2 facing Sam Ridley Parkway, and as I shared with one of the owners this past week, anytime we can eliminate any R6 and swap for C2, I'm for that. It's just, and for common sense, it's R6, as you can see, is zoned there and has been zoned there for a lot of years to allow multifamily housing. If I'm not mistaken, 14 or so units per acre, 14 and a half units per acre. And so anytime we can soften that, I'm all for it. So
Sounded like a motion to
I'll
me.
make the motion to approve the rezoning based on staff comment.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Rezoning requests, item number 7, Villas of Stewartsboro. Staff comments.
Yeah, this is Villas of Stewartsboro. It's actually a Phase 2 proposal. It's on Old Nashville Highway. It's 2 tracts of land that total 3.03 acres. The proposed number of units is 48. Currently zoned R1, requested to be zoned to a PRD. We had a couple of standard comments regarding CUDs, for this does fall in their service area. Our staff comments, the land use plan would actually support commercial here. The proposed PRD is again for 48 townhouse units. We did make a note to them regarding the fire flow. Comment number 4 regarding the setback detail, they have corrected that. They actually had a setback detail showing for a single family development, which wasn't applicable here, so they've corrected that part of it. This does tie in and would connect with the existing Villas of Stewartsboro, which was approved probably 10 or 12 years ago, but it's just now been put under development. And so this would be, again, utilize the main access streets would be as part of that Phase 1, and would just develop off the east or south side of it to connect into it and develop these proposed townhomes. They do have, as part of there, they will have garages, but they have 2 parking spaces in front of each unit as a driveway. They're also adding several, I don't know the exact total, but several parking spaces for guest parking that would be accessed off of the access road that come in from Old Nashville Highway as well. So that would be just we would be adjacent to the new development, not as part of the overall internally, but would be directly adjacent to it. The units that are proposed are consistent with what would be developed in Phase 1, which is kind of the hardy on the sides, and then brick and hardy mix on the front.
So this is consistent with what was approved as far as the units go, very similar?
It really is just a Phase 2 of what's already been approved, yes.
I assume this is probably adding parking spaces that maybe Phase 1 didn't have, is that correct?
Yes, yeah, there's a row of parking. If you look at the concept like on page 7 there.
Yes.
There's a row of parking, about 4 different locations there. Those are all would be added as a part of this Phase 2.
So not only have we adequately maybe prepared for Phase 2, but we've improved the parking on Phase 1.
Yeah,
Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, because they would be utilized by both phases, I'm sure, yeah.
Any common area would be utilized both phases?
Yeah, and there is common area on Phase 1, but they're adding common area for Phase 2 as well. I'm sure it's going to be one development with one HOA, and so obviously both sides can utilize all of it.
Kim, is this the same group that did the one next to it?
It is the same group as who was doing it, yes. The original developers on that it's changed hands 2 or 3 times, so, but it is the same developer as it is doing Phase 1 as it is under construction now, yeah.
Do we need some type of cross easements and that type of nature since it's 2 separate sections?
We possibly, I don't know, I'm assuming that if this is approved, this will all be kind of combined into one parcel, anyway, but we may
If it's
want
combined
like
into
one track and
one
then
track, we wouldn't
sold.
need it.
The units would be sold individually with the parking areas, driveways, landscaped areas, amenities, all that's gonna be this common area for the entire development. So it'll be covered under that.
Okay,
So I think we're okay.
all right. Other questions?
Kevin, was this ever, I don't think this is the parcel I'm thinking of, was this ever brought in to be proposed for commercial use?
I don't believe so. I believe this is the first time I've
Okay,
had
I've got it
anybody
confused
talk to me
with
about
something.
this track. There's a home, I believe.
How about the neighbors around there? Any feedback from them? They're kind of getting boxed in there, so.
I don't believe we've had anything at this point, no.
You know, we did have a request across the street for
A repair,
a
car
C,
repair.
a C4.
Yeah.
A C4 zoning, I think,
That's what I
that
think.
we approved.
There
3 or
was,
4 acres.
yeah, there's on
It's
the,
about a quarter of a mile, well, it was somewhere in the neighborhood of this.
yeah, there's a track at the corner of, kind of where Lee Victory and Old Nashville intersect. There's a track, and there was a one down in front of the,
It was adjacent to the church property. Was the last thing I remember coming through
Right.
in this area, beside Cantrell Farms.
yeah, the one I'm thinking about was several years actually prior to that. But yeah, they had that one, and we did have the one C5 request that was turned down, closer, past the, Food Line Shopping Center down that part of it.
Okay, other questions? Do I have a motion?
I move we approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Oppose? Well,
I oppose.
okay. Moving on to item B under new business preliminary plat, Cantrell Farms. Staff comments.
Cantrell Farms is a preliminary plat. It's a section 3 of the overall development, kind of between Chicken Pike and Old Nashville Highway. The PRD zone, this proposed plat is 8.95 acres, 51 lots. We had several standard comments there that would need to remain. Under staff comments, we'd asked them, they do have some drainage pipe and different things within an built into electric easement. We just asked them to get something from Middle Tennessee Electric that they're okay with that or whatever on that, so we would need to keep that. Comment number 2 was regarding a sewer line extension, and they have shown that, so it's part of this, so that one has been addressed there. This is part of an overall development with kind of a single family and townhome mix. This will kind of be the last section of the single family. There is still a future section of townhomes to come, but this would kind of finish out the single family portion of this development, which would be primarily accessed by Chicken Pike there. It's consistent with the master plan that was approved as part of the PRD request. And I think that's all I've got.
So you did say it was consistent with the PUD that was approved.
Yes.
Questions or comments? Do I have a motion?
I move we approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Under new business, item C, final plats, number 1, the preserve at Stewart Creek.
So this is section 3 of the preserve at Stewart Creek. Would be an extension of High Echelon Circle. It's a PRD. This one is about 15.02 acres. It's 59 lots. It's approved. This is it's consistent with the PRD that was approved, as well as the preliminary plat that has already been approved for this section. We had 3 kind of standard comments, which are primarily a very standard from CUD, as well as adding in signatures, so nothing to be concerned about on that. This is kind of finishing out this one as well as the connection to Mercer Lane as well. So this is, yeah, it's finishing out this development as far as your all's approval of it. So that's all that I've got.
Any questions?
Move to approve the staff comment.
Do I have a second? Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Under final plats, number 2, Creekside, Noel Lane. Staff comments.
Yeah, this is a plat. It's not actually creating any new lots or anything like that, but this would be a dedication of easements for drainage, as well as water and sewer easements. And so this is for the tract of land on Noel. Site plans were approved a few months ago for apartments here. It is zoned R6. But it really is just to dedicate easements, public easements, again, for permanent water, sewer, and a little bit of drainage as well. So,
Are they already there and we just identifying them, or are these will be?
some are, some of them will be added as a part of the development of the apartments.
So it kind of clears it up and adds the new ones too.
Right. This is just, again, so we know, it's just a formal dedication of those to us, to what we will be maintaining once they're built. So
Essentially for our benefit then.
yes, yeah.
Okay.
And again, it's just to clear that up. We did have a couple of comments, standard comments that would need to, regarding signatures and all, that would need to be kept. But
Other questions?
Okay, go ahead. That's all I got.
Have a motion.
I move we approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Site plan, nope, one more under number 3, Woodmont subdivision, phase 6, section B. Staff comments.
This is the final plat. This is kind of the last one of the final plats for the townhome portion of the Woodmont development. This is the one that was held back because we had a question about the easement and connection for the pump station that is within this section of development and the property to the south. And so that has been finalized, and this plat just shows that. Again, we had a few standard comments there, those 3. This would create basically 40 lots, 4.64 acres. The easement, it is shown as a public sewer easement that would come between units 680 and 681. That's where that easement would be located. So, and tie into the sewer line there.
So this kind of settles that issue and is in keeping with what we expected.
Yes.
All right. Have a motion.
Move to approve the staff comment.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Now we'll move on to Item D, under new business, site plans. 1, Lakeside Phase 2. Staff comments.
This is a proposed site plan for the second phase of the Lakeside development on Lot 25, which sits on approximately .42 acres located at 206 Emily Court. The property is currently zoned R6 and the proposed use is for 6 townhomes. This is allowed by right in the R6 zoning district. The property is bound to the north and south by townhomes, to the east by duplexes, to the west by Emily Court, and surrounding zoning consists of R4 and R6. As proposed, the site may be accessed off of Emily Court. Square footage of vehicular use area proposing for 5,157 square feet, which would require square footage of landscaping for 515 square feet. They're proposing for 495. Total parking required 12 spaces, and they're proposing 12 spaces as well. Landscape plan shows shrubs between the parking lot areas and the roadway, and 2 trees on either side of the parking areas. Architectural elevations show primary material of brick on all sides of the building. Future land use plan identifies proposed site as suitable for low-density single-family residential development. We have a couple standard comments and 3 staff comments. Staff comment 1 has been addressed at this time. Staff comment 2 pertains to the landscaped area, as far as 10% of the total landscape area must be landscaped, so just to increase that a little bit more than what they currently are showing. And staff comment 3 for showing the stormwater management system. With those comments, staff would recommend approval of this plan.
Essentially, this is the same thing that's in this little small subdivision and consistent with what's already there. I think you were telling me there was 1 lot that was left that hadn't been built on, and or is there another one?
There's actually 2. They were 3, and they built on one of them probably 6 years ago. And then there were 2 that were left, and so they've come back. This is for lot 25. There's not one on lot 21, I think. Yeah, across, kind of on the other side. Most of what's out there are quadruplexes. These are 5-unit buildings. This particular one on lot 25 is 6. So, which is by density and all that, they're allowed to have that. So, but it is consistent with what's out there as far as architecturally and all that. Yeah, there's no garages on any of them out there. They're not proposing any garages here or anything like that. So.
All brick.
All brick, yes.
Okay. Questions? Have a motion.
I'll move we approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Under site plans number 2, Nissan North America. Staff's comments.
This is a proposed site plan from Nissan Pick Center, which sits on 67.22 acres located to the north of the Nissan battery plant. This building is approximately 124,860 square feet in size. The property is currently zoned I3, and proposed uses for a warehouse, which is allowed by right in the I3 zoning district. The property is bounded to the north by vacant land, to the east by CSX rail lines, to the south by the Nissan battery plant, and to the west by the Nissan plant. Surrounding zoning consists of I3, and as proposed, the site may be accessed by Battery Plant Road. Square footage of vehicular use area proposing for 6,908 square feet, which would require 553 square feet of landscaping. They are proposing for 755 square feet. Total parking required 42 spaces for this development. They are proposing for 52 truck spaces and 11 regular spaces. Handicap space required of 1, and they're proposing for 1. Landscape plan shows trees and shrubs planted around the entrance to the parking lot area in front of the building. Architectural elevations show primary material of metal to be used for this building. Future land use plan identifies proposed site as suitable for heavy industrial. There's a couple one standard comment and two staff comments. Two staff comments pertain to the EDSC and grading plans to be submitted and to include the total disturbed area for this development. With those, staff would recommend approval of this development.
What size is the building that they're building?
124,860 square feet.
Okay. Questions? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the staff comments.
Do I have a second? We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Under site plan, number 3, Smyrna Village. Staff comments.
This is a proposed site plan for Smyrna Villages, which you have seen before. It's about a year or so ago when this first came through. The applicant has revised the elevations on this development to be single-story developments instead of, I believe the previous one had some of the units that were multi-level. This is only a single level. This is sitting at the Smyrna Villages area north of Gold's Gym. Surrounding zoning consists of R4, C2, and C3, and P&L1. As proposed, the site may be accessed from the Smyrna Villages parking lot. Square footage of vehicular use area, 78,408 square feet, which would require 7,840 square foot of landscaping. Applicant is proposing for 8,000 square feet. Parking, 158 spaces required, and they are proposing for 179 spaces. Handicap parking spaces required of 1, and they're proposing for 2. Landscape plan submitted by the applicant shows shrubs planted around most of the units and throughout the development, along with trees throughout the development as well. Architectural elevations show 2 different styles of buildings. The previous submittal showed, I believe, 4 different unit styles. This one only has 2. Both of those building unit styles and the clubhouse are proposed to be built with brick and a veneer base with a hardy board siding on all sides. The proposed site is located within the floodway, 100-year and 500-year floodplains, although the development will stay outside of all those areas. Future land use plan identifies the proposed site as suitable for commercial development. A couple standard comments as well as staff comments. Staff comments 1 and 3 have both been addressed pertaining to the fire flow. We have gotten confirmation on that. It doesn't meet the requirement. And the landscape plan, we have received confirmation that is all good. Staff comment 2 pertains to the water and sewer plans, which may require additional comments. We have not received any update on those from the utility department on those, but other than that, we recommend approval of this plan.
This PUD was approved a year or 2 ago.
About a year and a half. Yeah.
Just the 55 and older.
It is.
Yeah.
And I know that there were questions concerning the multi-level units, and I think that has been answered very well by the site plan.
He's showing 1-car garage with 2 parking spaces out front, is that right?
I think that's right.
Were the other ones 2-car?
I don't know if we had any that were 2-car before.
I thought they were maybe some mix, but.
I think, well, there were some units along the back side. Those were where most of the 2-story units were. And there may have been some that had 2-car garages in there. This does have, they have the 2, the double wide driveways on every unit, as well as the garages. Then they have some guest parking near the entrance to the development, as well as around the clubhouse.
One of the things we've, over the years, we keep asking for is housing for people in our community that are getting a little bit older and don't want steps and prefer flat level, 1-story living, and 55 and older. When you take the townhomes out of here and put all those to flat level living, I think it really appeals to that demographic for us, and we've been asking people to do that. So Kevin, were these for rent, for sale, or both? Would you refresh my mind on that?
I believe that I know they're gonna be constructed like
Like
with
apartments?
well, no, they're gonna be constructed with firewalls like they could be sold, and I'll refer to the developer. I don't know exactly, I can't remember what the previous developer, this is a different developer than who was doing it before. So
Okay, someone representing this project, if I, Mr.
Yes,
Hawk?
sir. David Alcorn,
Yes.
113 Lexham Court. These will be built for sale.
Okay.
And just to clarify from the difference, you're right, there was a couple of units, they were townhomes, all the bedrooms up, 55 and older, just didn't work. We also took these, they were kind of alley. We put the front doors back on the street. They were the back doors and the garages, and you'd have to kind of count trash cans to get to your house. Now we have a front door, so it's going to look like a traditional home that way. And so the townhomes are done away. There was 4 units, Mike, that had the 2-car garage planned on them. But in eliminating all those townhomes, we did create some more garage plans than that were there, but they are all 1-car garages. About 70% of them are 1 car.
And everything.
The rest of it. And we also added that some of them had 1.5 baths. All of them are 2-bedroom and 2-bath minimums.
Okay.
David, any kind of idea yet what, just thinking ahead, what kind of costs would be involved in purchasing one of these?
Yeah, how big are the
You're
units?
talking for you personally?
Well, at some point maybe.
Do you qualify?
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
And then some.
Yeah, we'll be in the low 2s.
Okay.
And it has that nice amenity center part of it, that 40 by 60, and then it has the Hammerhead parking area there for the potential greenway.
So kind of HOA driven, I assume, right? You had a question about square footage?
Yeah,
There are 11, I think 1149 and 1170, somewhere right in there on both those plans.
and everything is 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
Everything's at least 2 bedrooms and 2 full bathrooms.
This is much nicer project.
We thought so.
It's affordable for some of our seniors, which is,
I think we think it's going to be a nice little community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the staff comments.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We've already done item number 7, a February bond review.
All right, got several this month. First one is Buckingham, Section 1, Phase 2. Got several items there on that one, on the punch list. It is 100% built out. The developer did request a 6-month extension on that. We have had it a couple of years, or about 2.5 now. He indicated they were going to try to finish everything up this summer in that section, so we were okay with a 6-month extension to give him time to get that done. Woodcrest Section 3, kind of in the same situation. It is we've had it this one's had it for 2 years. Again, same request there, requested a 6-month extension to finish it up this summer. Smyrna Commons, all that's left out there is as-built, and they were going to try to get those done before it expires on February 28th. If they get that done, we would be okay releasing that one. If they don't, we'll need to extend it again. Next one is a landscape and bond for the store there on Alville Road. Most of it was done, but not all of it got done, and now in the intervening time since we've had this bond, several trees have actually died and different things, so we still would want to keep that one, give them 6 more months to maybe get that done this summer. Lennox Phase 1, Section 2C. Just had a few kind of cleanup items there. Most everything's done, just some cleanups, and then they did indicate that they would get the punch list to them, they would take care of it. We are recommending a reduction on that one and just extend it 1 year as the maintenance bond, as everything's essentially done. Just and cleanup items and as-bills. Rooker's Bend, Section 1, Phase 1. That one's not 100% built out, as most of these are. This one, that's about 78% built. The developer did request an extension. He did say he would like to wait and finish up all the lots before he does the final paving. We have had that one about 4.5 years now. But he did request a 6-month extension, and we did recommend that. And the last one is Villages of Green Tree, Section 1. This is phases 1 and 2. They did request an extension there. They do plan to pave this area there when they finish, or when they pave Section 2. And so they've requested an extension on that. So we did recommend a 6-month extension for that one. There are 3 lots there that still haven't been built yet as well. So that's all I got.
Please record me as not voting or taking part in discussion. Any questions that y'all have? Have a motion.
I move we approve.
We'll have a second.
Second.
Mark. Any other questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Staff, you got anything?
Only thing, just I sent an email last week just reminding everybody, just to remind you once again of the next Tuesday at 4, kind of a joint meeting with the council, kind of like what we did last time. Discuss some of the road projects, but potentially as well as some of the Enid Springs Road discussion, and potential for some discussion regarding Jeannie Lane as far as connection between Wolverine over towards the new President or Potomac extension as well. So we've got someone looking at that for us. So that's Tuesday at 4 o'clock before the council meeting at 5. So that's all I got.
Anything else?
Announcement, or is that after?
Yes, no, it's fine, right here.
The Sister City Committee is having a chili dinner on the 23rd. It'll be held at the Senior Center. And if you need tickets, I have tickets, or if you're around City Hall, Tiffany has tickets. And we're also doing sponsorships for businesses. If you do a $100 sponsorship, you can get 6 tickets included with that. So if you have any questions or whatever it is, please see me.
All right. Anything else? Stand adjourned.